Okay. I ain't want to lose the eyes. All right. Now, when we were left off about Moses, okay, and about the rebelliousness of Moses. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I want to move down a little bit to the 2011, okay. Also with 2010, Musainim and Aharon. You know what I'm saying? Moses and Aharon. Now the good part is Moses and Aharon gathered the congregation together before the rock, before Selah, before Selah. Now that Moses and Aharon, in the sense of now, of us now, would probably be, there goes that Musainim, right? And that would be that Aharon, right? Now, they gathered the congregation together before the rock, or Selah, or Kedamawi Haile Selassie. And he said to them, right? Now, as far as, and he said to them, ye rebels. This is not what I'm speaking about. The good Aharon and the good Musainim. Even though there's something here, he goes, and he said to them, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? Must we go and fetch you water out of this rock? You understand? Like Musainim was questioning, he was questioning that. Right? So let's go to 2011, verse 2011. It says, and Moses lifted up. Now, this lifted up here, I want you to go look it up, because this lifted up is not like Allah, but it's like Rune, like he rose up. But Moses exalted himself. See, Moses exalted himself. Now, if you go on the Schofield Study Bible, okay, if you go on the Schofield Study Bible on this verse, it's going to tell you that the priestly order, that they had a priestly order that resulted in nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because Moses didn't fully have faith in the people to tell them everything, to take them the whole way. He started to go follow, almost wander off in his own heart. And we'll get into that in a moment. Because MLK did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? That's why they marched. The Million Man March is what I was just thinking about a minute ago. I said the night before the Million Man March is what I call the night of the living dead. See, because it's the night that the dead lived. Because all that night they prepared a speech and got a speech together that this nigga, when he came and presented the speech, it wasn't even going to be that speech. It was going to be a dead speech. It wasn't even a speech that they meant to present. So that night before is all that night of the living, right? The night of the living, but the next day he delivers a dead speech. So you have the night of the living dead. You know what I'm saying? He delivered a dead speech. Remember, because they didn't even know he was going to deliver that speech. Now it says, and Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod, right? Now, with his rod, with the measurement, with his staff, with his group, with his priestly order, right? He smote the rock, or he smote the people again. He caused the people to basically err again. He caused them to be smote again, right? Now it says, and the water came out abundantly. I mean, in a way to look at it, I mean, they came out from going towards Yahweh abundantly. Meaning, like they marched up to when they had the idea of march to DC, they should have been talking about marching to Addis Ababa or something. But they were talking about marching to DC, so they came out by abundantly, right? And it says, and the congregation, right, drank. Now this drink is different, okay? I want y'all to understand something, man. That drink is different from this drink. Because this drink mean that they got drunk, nigga, they got twisted. They got they was clubbing, they got drunk. And they're beast. And they're following Gentiles, and the Gentiles who followed in their way. Or the Gentiles that they followed. Because remember, that was the way of the certain type of Gentiles that MLK was following in the 60s type of movement. You may not want to believe any of this, but what I'm asking you to do is go look it up, okay? What I'm saying is that there's a difference between when Yahweh says one ascends Allah in the Hebrew, right? It's different from Rune. Rune mean that Musainim exalted itself. Now, if you go in the Schofield Study Bible, they're going to tell you just that. They're going to say that in type. Now, what does type mean? Because I'm giving you another type. In the Schofield, they're going to give you a different type. They're going to say in type, matter of fact, we probably have to go and look it up. But what we're trying to say right here is when Moses smote the rock, this time, Jah was not with him. Jah was not in him this time. He was not in him. This was a different type of Moses. As a matter of fact, this was like the Moses, the Lelochin in them. Because Moses came with different spirits. He came with different blood. He came with different spirits. The Schofield, matter of fact, if anything, it more mentions that if they were in Egypt, that Musanim probably started to practice some of the practice of the other cultures around him, because he thought that the people lacked the faith completely to walk all the way out with Jah. You see what I'm saying? So Musanim caused the people to wonder a second time. Now, they already say the first time that Musanim and Aharon caused the people to wonder. But check this out, though. Listen to this verse. It says, Moses lifted up his hand, right? He lifted up his staff. He exalted his staff, right? And he smote the rock, right? He caused the people to err again, and he smote the rock. He caused them to be smitten, right? And the water, you know what I'm saying? Or he smote Selah. Now, what did Moses do? How did Moses smote Kedemawi Haile Selassie? By not referring to people that way. Moses went his, did I say Moses? Martin Luther King was saying people, almost right. MLK went his own way, my people. MLK went his own way. MLK, baby, he followed his own heart. MLK was Moses when he stuck his hand in his bosom. Listen when I tell you. You know what I'm saying? Jah live, you're high. You know, I'm telling you the truth. Martin Luther King followed in his own heart. Now, the thing is that what we're wondering, what I still wondering, because I'm still revealing some more information, is that we're wondering how much did they know him and Malcolm X. Now, we know Malcolm X had went to Ethiopia. We found out about that. In fact, I believe he's seen His Majesty, Kedemawi Haile Selassie. And if you look at the Spike Lee movie, it looks as if though Malcolm X, towards the end, started to understand what he was doing. In fact, remember when the black lady went up to him and said, Jesus gonna help us, remember? And he had that look like, oh man, like it's over or something like that. You remember that? See, Spike Lee sent a lot of subliminal messages in that movie, man, that I picked up and I was able to read through them. In fact, you should go back and look at that movie X again. You know what I'm saying? I have the book, which I need to fully read. But back over here again, like we said, this spirit of Moses Jah was not in Moses at this time. This Jah was not in him at this time. When Jah would be in Moses, remember Moses would be as a god to Pharaoh, and that's when Jah was in him and Aharon. But this spirit of Musanim, Jah was not in. You understand? This spirit of Moses, it's just like when Moses went up to the mountain, the people were down there, and Musanim had made them like a god. But now when Moses came down, Moses was like their God. Remember, Moses was already the God. Moses was the God. They had made the golden calf and all that. Remember they made the golden calf, and Aharon had made it. So let's go to the Schofield 1 second, because we want to go make sure that we get, you know, type of information. No, some say it's better to have a hard copy, but this one is I've been checking it. It's pretty been, you know, it's been pretty it's better to have a hard copy of anything. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because if something happening to this stuff, we screwed, bro. You know, if the lights go out, you doomed. You better get a hard copy of everything. Matter of fact, you need a hard copy, because you need a hard copy of your Universal Declaration, the Constitution, your rights, and how you to get your sovereignty. You need a copy of all that paperwork, because it's all about paperwork. It's all about loose doctrine. Now let's go down here to Numbers, right? And what we want to do is we want to go to Numbers. Because what we had, Numbers 2000, right? 2000, baby. 2001, 2008. We'll see what it all says. But check this out. 2001 says, then came the children of Israel, even the whole congregation. Check this out. Into the desert of sin, right? In the first month, right? Which, 9/11. Because what happened in 2001? 9/11. And the people abode in Kadesh. Now, what does the word Kadesh mean? Sanctuary. Sanctuary. And Miriam died. Miriam died there and was buried there. It says Miriam died there, but it doesn't really tell you what time. So now we get the whole analogy towards Whitney Houston. But check it out. What skips? It skips to 2005. It says, and wherefore have ye made us to come out of Egypt to bring us, right? into this evil place. This is almost like Rastafarian talking to MLK in a way. It is no place of seed or of figs or of vines or of pomegranate, because we're experiencing none of that shit right now in the U.S., and you know it. Neither is there any water, any real knowledge in our schools for our children. There is none. You know that. The knowledge is what they want to teach you. Drink, not drink. You understand that? It says drink, not drink. All y'all niggas talking about, you like, I'm going to give me some of that drink. No, you better get some drink. You better get some drink. Get some drink, nigga. That drink is proper knowledge. Drink is basically like what the lady on the red beast was gonna be full of. Remember, she was gonna be full of all the she drank all the blood of the saints. You don't want to drink that. That's that drink right there. Now let's keep going so we can see what the Schofield Study Bible exactly what it says. Because like I said, I have revealed before I had even read. It says, take the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aharon, I brethren, and speak ye to the rock before their eyes, right? And if it shall give the fourth generation his water, get him out with Haile Selassie's knowledge, and thou shalt bring, right, the fourth generation to them water or the knowledge of out of Selah, right? Selah, Allah, right? Get him out with Haile Selassie. In the name of the Jesus, Yehoshua HaMashiach, because remember the rock is Christ. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts, right, and those faithful Gentiles drink. So we give the Rastafari, the 12,000 or the 144,000 drink, and our righteous Gentiles who are Rastafari as well. You understand what I'm saying? Don't get offended. You know what I'm saying? Because I hope the truth is not an offense. You know what I'm saying? Now it says right here, it says, check this out. This is what Schofield says. It says the rock, right? 1 Corinthians 10:4, once smitten needs not be smitten. Crucified again, right? So it says, now what does it say? It says Moses exalted himself. Remember we said run in the Hebrew? Numbers 2010, remember the year 2010. What happened? Then we have the Japan thing. And implied in type, right? They said in type. Now this is their type because I had gave you a different type. I gave you another type that was revealed, because they even told you here that I was going to reveal that type. That the one sacrifice was ineffectual, thus denying. Check this out. See, so Moses was basically saying that when he said that the one sacrifice was ineffectual, basically he was saying that it had no effect on the people, or that the word that was given in the first place had no effect on the people. That the people needed to go through more, but really Yahweh was saying, Yahweh knew the people were ready, but Moses didn't have faith in the people. He thought he had enough faith in Jah, but Jah knew he didn't have all faith in him, because if he had all of his faith in him at that time, he would have all his faith in the people. Now it's not to say he kept to be like that. Later he returned with his faith, but what he did caused him not to enter the promised land. It caused him to get the permanent no. You know what I'm saying? So it says ineffectual, thus denying the eternal efficacy of the blood. Efficacy, I hope I'm saying that right. Efficacy, we know the effect of the blood or of the Holy Spirit, right? He denied the effect of the Holy Spirit. When we talk about the water, when Moses said Yatsa Mayim, what do you say? Yatsa Mayim Selah. You know what I'm saying? Like out of this, out of this water, you know what I'm saying? Out of this water, out of this water comes this rock, or out of this rock comes this water. Basically, what he's trying to say is that they wouldn't get it. That he was thinking Moses thought to himself that they would not they wouldn't get it. He thought the people were too rebellious to get it. Right? And Jah was telling him, no, they're not. You know what I'm saying? They already been chastened once. They will get it. You know what I'm saying? He was saying the ones that I wanted to get, they will get it. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, Jah was saying, I'm going to destroy the people. What Jah was trying to say was the people was going to destroy themselves anyway. Remember, because these same people they still end up following Moses, because Moses caused them to err the last 20 years. They erred the first half, and then they erred again the last 20 years. Same thing we have with MLK, because those who want to follow in the way of MLK, they also started to earn these. We're in the last stages of those years. You know what I mean? Like we talking about from like we want to say like 85 to now. You know what I'm saying? In the mid 80s. Because if you remember, in 1993 is when I think Bloods and Crips came out, or not the Bloods and Crips, but the Colors came out. And when Colors hit, if something happened to the entire United States, and some people try to act like that didn't happen, but there was an epidemic. There was like a gang epidemic that swept the entire world. And I believe the Satanists and the Luciferians in them, they put out the negative image of the Bloods and Crips on purpose in order to fulfill that type of style in the spirit of the lost sheep. You understand? They want to fulfill that type of negative spirit in the lost sheep about the Bloods and Crips. So the truth about the Black Panthers and the revolution and what they stood for and what they were trying to do for the neighborhood and educate the people and how they were talking about Africa and the motherland, all that went out the door, and they started basically getting brothers and sisters to shoot and kill each other over their neighborhood and stuff. So they started thinking that they had to go kill the other niggas because they thought that they basically did the same thing like they did in Iraq, where they had like the two cops, one go and shoot up one nigga's neighborhood and dressed in blue, and another one go dressed in red, go shoot up the other nigga's neighborhood so they could divide the niggas. And then plus they threw crack, and the CIA threw crack in there, right? Threw crack and dope, and Ronald Reagan was all a part of that, and George Bush, his father, senior, yes, he was a part of that. We know all about that. All right, now, back over here, because that's just a brief over that stuff. That stuff designs its own presentation. It says, the abundant water, check this out, look at this, right? Now, first thing it goes to, right, it says the eternal effect of the blood, basically, that Moses felt that Moses denied that the blood was effective. He denied that the spirit was effective in order to bring the people all the way through, or to give the people the other half of the story, right? Moses was basically meek to do so. He was scared to do so, or he lacked the more so courage to do so. So he kind of caused the people to enjoin in whatever was going on around them at the time. He even because when we look at these verses, let's go to these verses in the Hebrew, because I want to go to them actually. Let's go to this one. I think it's this one, and let's see what it says real quick. Okay, that says, day after day, every priest stands and performs his religious duties, right? Again and again, he offers, right, the same sacrifices, which can never take away sin. So, basically, this is what Moses was doing. It's the same thing that the priests are doing in the churches. You know what I'm saying? The same thing that our preachers, that we have our Sunday-type preachers, they're doing the same thing. They're offering the same ineffectual efficacies of the blood. That's basically what they're doing to y'all by not revealing the truth about Rastafari, and that you are the lost sheep, the black people of the world, you know, the lost sheep, and the Judahites, the Ihud, the African Americans, the other 12 tribes of Israel, all over the world. They're not revealing this truth because they're too busy practicing this day after day, the priestly order of performing religious duties, the same old religious duties again and again, that have the same sacrifices, which can never take away sin. They're too busy practicing this, so they don't want you to listen to him. You know what I mean? They don't want you to listen to him. You know what I'm saying? Because they're too busy practicing this. You understand what I'm saying? And this is where they have messed up. Okay? This is basically where they messed up. MLK calls this new type of priestly order that we have now, like that. I said, and I have this. You know what I mean? He kind of caused that. Even though we feel the brother was very smart, even though I was looking at in his house when he was sitting with Coretta one time, I really feel as though he idolized Mohandas Gandhi for some reason. Now I don't know why, but he should have been idolizing Kedamawi Haile Selassie. That's what he should have been idolizing. But now, we'll get more into that too, because I was going to do a bigger study on that, about him idolizing Mohandas Gandhi, because that has a lot to do with him walking the people into Egypt. I really do, because it had a lot to do with his spirituality. It was a foreign spirit. And now it's the same thing it's about to say that Moses had here in just a second. So let's go to what type of foreign spirit did Musainum possess. Let's go to what type of spirit that Moses says. It says, but when this priest had offered for all time one sacrifice for sins, he sat down at the right hand of Jah. Now, he sat down at the right hand of Jah. Now, that's Yehoshua HaMashiach sitting down at the right hand of the Father. You understand what I'm saying? He's sitting down at the right hand of the Father. He already had offered that one sacrifice, but that's not the verse we want to go to. Okay, that's actually not the one we was looking for. The verse we were looking for is probably this one. Okay. Now it says right here, it says, but when the priest had offered for... Okay, no. That's the wrong one. Excuse I and I priest. Yurkurta. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's see, 10 and 3. Let's try this one. It might be this one right here. This verse. But all these verses. Okay, it says, but those sacrifices were annual reminders of sin, like Thanksgiving. Basically like Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that. And that's basically what Moses had started to do. Moses started to practice what the other cultures would practice around him because he didn't think the people would fully get it about Jah, which caused the people to err because the people believed so much in Moses. It's just like, you remember that part in the Bible where Christ was speaking and where the man, he could see, and he goes to them, he said, look, I tell you now, I can see. I was once blind, but I talked to Jesus, and now I can see. You know what I'm saying? They was like, no, you won't follow him. We were following Moses. I could just hear the people doing this at the moment. Like, them niggas trying to argue with this brother. He's like, look, man, I just seen the truth. You see, he just made me see. You see the vision he made me see. You see the vision he made me see. And you want to argue that this is not the truth. You want to say that this is not the truth. We know this is true because you see what Kedomawi Haile Selassie has made us see. And then y'all want to argue with us talking about, y'all want to go with that, y'all are with Jesus Christ, but then you even know fully who Jesus and Yehoshua HaMashiach was trying to reveal to you about Kedomawi Haile Selassie. You know what I'm saying? But let's go here, because there's a verse here that is going to top off what Moses really did. Okay? Okay, now this is another. Here we go. It says, nor did he enter heaven to offer himself again and again, right? The way the high priest enters, Melchizedek, right? So Moses didn't do that at this time, right? So it says, most holy place, right? It says, every year with blood that is not his own. Okay, to offer himself again and again, the way the high priest enters the most holy place every year with blood that is not his own. Okay, that's another verse that's linked with this same thing, but the verse that we're looking for, and excuse I and I, you understand, because we're trying to find this exact verse. Because there's a verse that talks about Moses bringing in different blood. You know what I'm saying? I remember I and I have read that same verse, and it talks about Musa saying how he had brought in like a different type of blood. You know, he brought in different blood into the church. Now, let's go down further because I think it's in another verse. Now, it says right here, it says, if we look, let's go up a little bit. It says, okay, going down, it says the rock and... Okay, let's see if we can find it straight up real quick. Oh, okay, I believe this is it. Okay, it says, and drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from the spiritual rock, right? That accompanied them, and that rock was Christ. Okay, but it's an in particular, very, very much so, in particular verse where Musa and them basically okay, now the thing is that it talks about him entering the church with the blood of others. The blood of others, and what it refers to is it referring to the Lelochinim or the Lolohim or the other gods that were not Jah. You know what I'm saying? And Moses had did this. Moses had ended up doing this because he brought. Now, what does blood mean in the scripture? Means the spirit. It's talking about the spirit, right? And Moses basically had done this. Moses basically had done this. Now, even if we want to be like, he didn't do it on purpose or whatever, he still did it. And that's basically what we want to get into. And that's why I say that I start to notice Moses almost put like a Korai type of thing. Like he did his own, he kind of had his own priesthood. You know what I mean? He had his own priesthood that caused the people to wander. You know what I mean? It's almost like they was going to walk from California to New York, but they ended up walking, and when they ended up walking, they ended up wandering in Texas. And they never got to New York. And see, Moses caused that. Moses caused that twice, actually. Yeah, Moses caused that to happen basically with the... Now, it's interesting because what I'm going to do is I think that I was looking in the Bible when I had seen that verse. Well, it was close because I can't find it in either one of these. But the interesting thing is, let me go ahead and go look it up real quick while I is, trying to explain this thing about MLK and the mistakes that they made in the new MLK and the new Aharon, or the new even Elijah in a lot of ways. Elijah, because remember Elijah Muhammad was the one for Malcolm X, remember that? Do you understand? Elijah Muhammad was the one who basically pointed them in the right direction. Or he pointed Malcolm X in the right direction. They should have been trying to listen to Shiloh. You know what I'm saying? They should have been listening to Elijah, and Shiloh. Because if they would have been listening to Elijah and Shiloh, the wandering that we are still coming out of right now, I mean, we just trying to get ones out of the wandering that they're doing right now, and that ain't even no joke. They're fighting eye and eye on that. You Rastafari, you know what I'm talking about. You on the front line right now, spiritually. You know what I'm saying? And that's almost before before a physical front line with our true enemies. We're trying to get the spirit of our people together first and foremost. You know. Now I think it was, let's see, it was 10 and 12, but this man, after he had offered, right here it says, but then once he offered, now basically out of this verse, what I'm trying to tell you is that in one of these verses, okay, the 9, let's see, 9:25, no, yeah, okay. Okay, now, I want you to check this out right here. How it presents it, excuse the camera, in Ion's Bible. And this is what Moses did. It says, nor yet, right? Now this is Hebrews 9:25. Go to Hebrews 9:25. It says, nor yet, I'll look it up and maybe I'll do a presentation of it, the clear meaning of it from that Mahadi. It says, nor yet that he, right, should offer himself often as the high priest, entereth into the holy place every year with blood of others. You see that it says blood of others? With blood of others. With spirit of others. With the spirit of others. And basically that's that same verse we were just looking at a minute ago. He basically bought the spirit of others. Now what is the spirit of others? Because these niggas be having you practice Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter and all that shit when they know. Some of them niggas actually know that shit ain't right. They know that shit ain't right. They know that ain't a part of your as a Hebrew, your annual tradition. But I think we run out of time, so I'm going to say Rastafari and Shalom, Simbet Salam, Shabbat Shalom, Beruku once, in the name of the Yehoshua HaMashiach, Nekeda Maui, Haile Selassie. You know, may I and I be blessed. And I have a good Shabbat, and I pray you had a good Shabbat. In the name of the Yehoshua HaMashiach, Nekeda Maui, Haile Selassie, Baruch. Amen. Amen.